Easily, the hottest topic of Season 4 so far has been the L-Star. Let's have a look at how best to use it, how to be as effective as possible with it, and the nitty-gritty of just why it's so good. Thank you to EA for sponsoring this video. The L-Star EMG deals 18 damage per shot at a rate of 600 rounds per minute. That works out to a nice and clean 180 damage per second, placing it slightly below the Prowler SMG, the R99, and the Flatline, which it's often compared against. Times to kill vary across the board dependent upon armor type, as well as either the fortified or low-profile passives which adjust the damage received by certain legends. While I don't think a DPS difference of 10 or less is really that big of a deal, it does still factually have a worse time to kill than most assault rifles and SMGs in the game right now, and it's only really faster than, like, the Spitfire within its own category, but that's not even remotely impressive of a feat. However, to trade this off, the L-Star has two very special mechanics that make it a monster of a gun. We'll start with the obvious. This weapon has no reloads. It will fire energy rounds from your inventory infinitely, so long as you stop firing occasionally to counteract the gun's overheat mechanic. If you fire off a few shots and then holster the weapon, it'll cool down on your back normally and it'll be ready to use the next time you pull it out. If you fire the weapon for 25 shots consecutively with no breaks, you will fully overheat the weapon. In this case, there is a few seconds reload animation that you must go through, but it is significantly improved than what we have seen in Season 3 and prior. This gun will not cool down naturally until this process is performed when you fully overheat the weapon. Used intelligently, you can move from gunfight to gunfight with this weapon without ever having to properly reload. You can even do things like dump shots into one target, swap to your second weapon and shoot a few from that, and then switch back to the L-Star to continue firing and play around your overheat mechanic. You can engage target after target after target after target with seemingly no downtime in your ability to deal damage. Combinations like the L-Star R99, L-Star Prowler, L-Star Wingman, and L-Star Peacekeeper can be very dangerous in close-range fights in particular. More than anything else, this is a weapon with very high reliability and consistency in the shortish range where it's most effective. The recoil is a bit heavy, but like most guns, is proportionately controllable with how much effort you place on learning the recoil pattern and manually controlling it. The recoil pattern is a pretty consistent zigzag left to right while going straight up, so pulling down and alternating between right and left will keep you much closer to target than just pulling straight down alone. Now, there is one more statistic of this weapon I'd like to talk about, but be warned, I'm dubious of how important it actually is. This trait, which is not well documented to anyone but the developers themselves, is called bolt hit size, and by extension, there's also another mechanic called bolt growth. Long story short, these variables exist in the game's VPK files defining each gun's traits and characteristics. Bolt hit size defines the physical size of your projectiles in what I assume are hammer units. One hammer unit is equal to 3/4 of an inch. So, the bigger the number, the larger the projectile. Bolt growth determines how much a projectile grows in size the longer it flies without striking a target. Almost every weapon in Apex Legends is subject to bolt growth, mainly to help people have any semblance of accuracy in long-range fights. Shooting at ultra-small hitbox characters, like Wraith for example, in a projectile-based game at a distance of 300 meters is no easy feat. So that's the intent behind these values, is to make your projectiles a little bigger over super long distances and give you a little bit easier of a time hitting targets. Anyways, the reason I bring all this up is because the L-Star scores extremely well in this category. While your projectiles leave the L-Star's barrel at effectively the same size as most other weapons, they should grow to a size of 7 hammer units at just past 50 meters, while many other guns are at values like 0.1, 0.2, or most snipers at 2.0 at a distance about twice that, just a little short. So in theory, this should mean that the L-Star has fat bullets, which should make hitting enemies in general a small bit easier with this gun than with others. You could think of it as padding out an enemy legend's hitbox just a little tiny bit. However, I'm finding it incredibly difficult to test out the effects of bolt size for one simple reason. The L-Star has idle sway when aiming down sights. It is literally impossible for me to do a tool-assisted test where I move the crosshair by the smallest amount possible to see at what range the L-Star registers hits an opponent where other guns would not. Unfortunately, it's completely non-scientific for me to just ballpark it and try to manually counteract the idle sway and guesstimate and try to convince you guys whether or not this is relevant, so I have to unfortunately leave it up to you. Call this just a theory or something that you can maybe keep in the back of your mind, assuming that the client-side data is correct and Respawn is not doing any server-sided tweaks to these bolt size values. In practice, I'd like to know from you guys, are you noticing that the L-Star is easier to hit targets with? Are you more consistent with this weapon than with other similar guns? Or do you think this is a whole bunch of nothing? Personally, I'm in the latter camp, but I would be remiss to not at least include these ideas in the video because I think they have potential to be important should we ever develop a testing method to prove or disprove them. For the time being though, let's get back to the things that we can test and take ideas from that. What is it about the L-Star that makes it so strong? Why are there debates online about whether or not it's the newest top tier weapon, whether or not the R99 is dead and this is the new S tier? Well, if the L-Star truly only has a DPS of 180, while having severely obfuscated optics due to muzzle flash and large projectiles getting in your way, lethargic LMG handling speeds, and hipfire worse than the SMGs is compared to, then what gives? By all accounts, this weapon should be worse in pretty much all categories, yet the arguments still remain. In my opinion, you're going to kill people more readily and consistently with the 99, Prowler, Flatline, 301, or whatever else, assuming it's properly kitted, and frankly just about any other gun in the SMG or assault rifle categories if we're talking raw DPS or times to kill. Most of these guns are going to have equivalent or better hipfire sprays, while also letting you move faster while aimed down sights, which in my opinion, on PC, is of insurmountable importance. The big thing the L-Star has in its favor over anything else is that the base gun as you pick it up is pretty much the full package. No barrel or magazine required, no reloads, just pick it up and blast. In early game drops, an L-Star is going to have some serious consistency where the R99 or Prowler with no attachments may lack just a little bit. In high-level rank games or even scrims, where you may not see a kill on the kill feed until round 2 or 3 of the ring, we have to recognize that super low loot, low economy teams are gonna exist in the shadows, ratting their way through the game, soaking up the best position possible before taking any fights at endgame. For teams and playstyles like these, the L-Star is an invaluable close-range weapon because there's no building required. Just pick it up and shred. You know exactly what you're getting every single time with this gun, whereas an R99 at 50 meters with no barrel versus a gold one can feel like two completely different guns. Besides, even if a gun is only 90% of what the 99 or Prowler are, that doesn't by any stretch of the imagination make it a bad gun. It's still very powerful where it sits, and when you play to its strengths, it can do things that no other weapon could ever hope to achieve. While this weapon may not end up topping my weapon tier list for Season 4, it's certainly in the top quarter, and we'll see if it can compete for top 5. Anyways, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you've learned something new. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, please leave in the comment section below. I try my best to read every comment that I can, and respond to as many as I can as well. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe, and if you want to come check out the Twitch stream, we do that a few days a week as well. Link below in the description. Once again, thank you all for watching. We'll see you again soon. Take care.